What's up, Average Dad fans? Welcome back to another video. And as promised, this is my first impressions of the Samsung Z Fold 6. And I know what you're expecting, but you might be surprised. There are elements of this phone that I really love, and some things I don't. I'm going to go in depth with my first impressions now. Hopefully you enjoy. Let's go. Now, in terms of the unboxing, I am not going to bore you. Inside the box, which is a nice black box, is the phone, a charging cable, and a SIM ejection tool. And some manuals that you'll never read. That's it. In terms of the phone itself, when you first take it out of the box, I'm not going to lie, it feels fantastic. And it's got a textured back. I was kind of hoping that it wouldn't be as glossy. I was looking more for like a carbon fiber effect. But again, there is definitely more grip on this than any of the glossy versions. And in the certain lights, I think it looks fantastic. Now, of course, we have to talk about my first impressions of the outer screen. And I told you I would be honest. It's not as horrendous as before. I mean, yes, it's still 0.1 or 0.2 millimeters too narrow, but because of the uniform bezels all the way around each side rather than that really thick one on the left, Samsung are almost there. And I'm not going to give them credit for that because they should have been here 3 years ago, and they should be where the Honor V3 and the OnePlus Open and other foldable devices are already. But slowly but surely we are getting to the perfect outer screen foldable device from Samsung. Now, when I first unfolded the device, I have to be entirely honest. The inner screen, brightness, clarity, sharpness, and most importantly, the crease. This has not been talked about a lot in reviews that I've seen so far, but this is the best implementation of a crease that Samsung have done. Samsung said that it was going to be slightly better than the Z Fold 5, and a few reviewers said that it wasn't, it was just the exact same. I'm sorry, they are wrong. This crease, if you're looking at it straight on and just working away as always, you're not going to notice the crease. And importantly, to touch, absolutely more in line with the Honor Magic V2, the OnePlus Open, and the Vivo X Fold 3 in terms of crease look and feel. So I have to give credit to Samsung there, because this new thinner, and it is thinner for Samsung, but we all know it's not that thin for a foldable, but this new hinge, the thinner design, has absolutely played into this inner crease being way more palatable than in previous generations. And sticking with the inner screen, as mentioned, 2600 nits of brightness, and it's sharp, clear, it's a really good 7.6 inch, 120 Hz square display. The one benefit of the Samsung over almost every other foldable is that it's an uninterrupted display. They have kept their selfie camera under the display for this, and I like it. I'm not one to put this on a stand and do video calls from the inner screen. If I'm doing a video call, I'm typically going to be using the better selfie camera found on the outer cover display. So hiding the selfie camera under this screen makes complete sense to me, and I like it. Now, other elements of the device before you talk about the software, which is obviously Samsung's biggest bonus, is the rest of the design. It's really boxy, it's really squared off, but on all devices now from Samsung, all Z Fold 6 devices, they're a matte rail rather than the polished, so fingerprint-wise, almost zero. Unlike the polished versions, which are just fingerprint magnets. And in this crafted black version, there's the black camera rings, which absolutely suit this perfectly. However, on other versions, you're still getting the same black camera rings. So on the navy and the silver shadow, I think they stick out a lot more. I think they kind of look not as good, whereas on this black version, they just tie in seamlessly. Now, it's USB-C in the bottom, there's 5G antennas, there's your SIM ejection tool, there's a fingerprint sensor, which I've not changed in settings to open as soon as I tap it, but it is speedy, responsive. Again, I have to click. You can change that in settings to go from click to open or just rest your finger on it. So yeah, the fingerprint recognition, as I say, is absolutely fine. You've obviously got face recognition, pattern pin, all that other good stuff as well. So that's the design and look of the Samsung Z Fold 6. First impressions are way more positive than any other Z Fold phone I've owned. And other than a 0.1 of a millimeter for the outer cover screen, I'm finding it hard see a fault because it is also less than 240 grams now. Another issue that Samsung had before was the weight of the Z Fold series was always heavier than every other foldable device, but this is now much more in line with. This is the Vivo X100 Ultra with a case on it. They are effectively the same weight. And in terms of thickness, as you can see here, yep, the Vivo X100 Ultra with a case is slightly thinner, but not by much. So yes, fair play to Samsung with the design of the Z. And now we must talk about the software. And the software is not just when you're using the phone, it's in the setup process. As soon as you take the phone out of the box, you are going to be just mind blown at how simple things are. If you've ever owned an Apple product, you'll know that Apple phones and tablets are easy to set up when you've got another device. Well, this Z Fold 6, I didn't even have to do anything. I turned it on, it recognised my Tab S8 Ultra, asked if I want to transfer everything wirelessly, and there we have it. I could still use the phone while it done it. It took about I want to say less than 10, but more than 5, maybe 6 or 7 minutes. And everything was just on the device. All my contacts, all my apps, all my passwords. It was seamless. And then using the device. This, unfortunately, doesn't come with an S Pen, which for £2,100 for this 1TB version, you would have hoped they would shoved a case and an S Pen in there, but obviously they don't. So I can't talk about the S Pen specific features, but what I can talk about is everything else. Samsung's One UI customization through the Good Lock app, the new Samsung AI features, which there are many, way too many to go into in this first impressions video. Just everything about the software is just easy. Everything's where it should be. Everything works. And as I've mentioned, customization. So this wallpaper here, this was generated through AI. It was a orange color UFO. I can't remember exactly what I called it, but this just generated a wallpaper for me. And then if you're using the camera and the photo app, there's a million things you can do. You can make cartoon portraits. There's so much you can do. Other people have made dedicated videos on full software breakdown. I will do one at one point, but first impressions, not a surprise. Samsung's One UI 6.1.1 is absolutely fantastic. That's my first impressions. I told you I would be honest, and Samsung, bravo. But I have to address the negatives. £2,100 for this 1TB device without any accessories or even a charging brick is far too expensive. I got this, as you'll all know, I got this on a deal. I got 50% off through a creator code. And this brought it to £1,050. For me, that's the price this should be. Now, granted, this is a terabyte version. I'm not saying you should get that for £1,050, but if the base 256 gigabytes was £1,050, then let's say £1,200 for the half terabyte and £1,400 for the terabyte, this would absolutely be recommended to many, many people that need Android Auto and need all smartwatches to connect. But because of the price, I have to continue to recommend phones such as the Vivo X Fold 3 Pro, the Honor Magic V3, the new Xiaomi Mix Fold 4. In a couple of months, or next month, sorry, you're going to get the Google Pixel Fold 2, which, while it might be similarly priced, is going to come with far superior cameras. Because one thing I haven't addressed in this video, I'll do a dedicated camera comparison, is that the camera system is the exact same from the Z Fold 5. Megapixels, sensors, lenses, everything, software is exact same on the Fold 5 than this Fold 6. When you're paying £2,000 plus for a foldable phone, you really want the best of hardware when it comes to photography. The Vivo X Fold 3 Pro gives you that. This doesn't. Now, the cameras are not bad. The cameras are actually pretty good, but they are not Samsung S24 Ultra standard. They are not Oppo X7 Ultra, or, as mentioned, the Vivo X Fold 3 Pro standard. And it is only my first impressions, but I do just want to say I can almost guarantee that with the 8 Gen 3 overclock chip in here, the battery life is going to be good. You're going to get a full day of usage with absolutely no issues, no matter how heavy you use it, to be honest. But what you're not going to get is up to 2 days. And that's what you get with the X Fold 3 Pro, because it's also the 8 Gen 3 chip, but with the 5700 milliamp hour battery. Yes, the battery in the X Fold 3 Pro is 1300 milliamp hours bigger than the one in here. And that device is still thinner. So, yeah. And while we're talking about battery, I have to keep mentioning it. 15 watts wireless charging and 25 watts wired charging, it just ain't good enough in 2020, never mind 2024. So Samsung, you obviously have areas to still keep improving on, as we've talked about, but they're getting there. So that was my impressions of the design, the screens, the software, the battery, and ultimately the video I made with the facts about the Z Fold 6 still remain true. It is still the poorest camera setup on a foldable flagship in 2024. It is still the thickest foldable phone in 2024. It's still the narrowest screen in 2024. And it's still the smallest battery. It's still the most expensive. All the facts remain true. But Samsung are getting there. They are almost there in terms of the outer cover screen. They just need to improve on things that are easy to improve on. Increase the battery size. Lower the price. Increase the outer screen by just another 0.1 millimeters. Make it 6.4 millimeters, please. And then you're there. Stop messing around. You have the best software. The easiest phone to use. There's no workarounds, Android Auto. Everything just works out the box. That's where the frustration from me comes from. For people that think I hate Samsung, you couldn't be more wrong. The S24 is one of my favourite phones of this year, as was the S23 Ultra. But the reason I get so frustrated with Samsung is because of those phones. I know what they can do with the cameras, with the battery, with the S Pen built in. Why can't they do it with this? And that's where the frustration comes from. So, can I sit here and say that £2,100 for this terabyte version is worth it? Absolutely not. No chance. But if you can pick this up for £1,500 or less, I think you're getting a good phone. And that's my honest opinion. My honest first impressions. I'll be back soon with a comparison between this and the Honor Magic V3, the Xiaomi Mix Fold 4, and the Vivo X Fold 3 Pro. So if you haven't already, please smash subscribe. This whole not asking for subscribers seems to have been working though, because they've been boosted. So maybe I should genuinely just never talk about subscribers, and maybe you'll keep watching and subscribing. Reverse psychology. Until next time.